Facebook Messenger bot that converts. We just finished part 1, and now we're moving on to part 2, building your bot. And I'll give it up to Molly now.
Awesome. Do we want to recap the last 2 minutes?
Yeah, so we did get cut a little early, so if you would go over the last
Yeah, of course. So for the
points.
live stream people, sorry about that. Really what we were talking about there at the end was the differences between there we go. The differences between these different messaging types. And the last thing that I was saying was that this follow-up broadcast option here, this last one, is that +1 part of the 24 plus 1 rule. So if you click this button, these are all of the people that you haven't yet sent a follow-up message to. So you can see that ManyChat's going to change, the number of users depending on which one of those you click on. Renee asked a really good question too, something I wanted to cover. So she asked, does your Facebook subscriber list live inside of ManyChat? The way it works is nothing really other than some tagging and some features that ManyChat has built. None of the data necessarily lives in ManyChat. They're just pulling data from Facebook, right? They have access to Facebook's Messenger API. So they're pulling subscriber information and things like that. So yes, of course, you can go into your dashboard here in ManyChat and see how many subscribers you have. Click the audience like we did earlier, see all of the different people. But if you weren't using ManyChat, this subscriber list would still be building in Facebook, right? And where that lives is inside of Business Manager. If you go to create a custom audience, really similar to how you would create a retargeting audience of people who visited your website or engaged with you on Facebook, Instagram. Are you guys with me on that? So you go create a custom audience. Messenger's an option, right? So you essentially create a custom audience of everyone that's engaged with you on Messenger. So that list of people is in Facebook and in ManyChat, just to answer that. Cool, are we all good to go? I don't think they were, this is Larry, by the way, guys. He's grayed since this photo, but I like the pumpkin look. Okay, cool, so we are on part 2, how to build a bot. So this is going to give us, like we talked about the overall way to think about this, the rules. Now I'm going to explain, I'm not going to walk through and click buttons and show you exactly how to build it because that's not a good use of our time. If you do want something like that, go to course.manychat.com. There's a free 10-hour course where we show you how to click all of the buttons. But what I'm gonna do here is show you how to strategize your bot, essentially, right? So we're not gonna click the buttons, but you're gonna learn, there are a lot of options here. Not that there are necessarily a lot of pieces, but most people don't understand how to put this together. So I just want to explain the different pieces of this so that when you guys go to build these, you know what you're working with, right? And what's cool about this, people, and this is talk about building a bot, and this is about building a bot, but it's really so much more than building a bot. Keep that in mind, you're building a new marketing channel, right? The bot is just the email autoresponder you're building to get the message out, right? With Messenger, you're building a channel. So just always keep that in mind. It's so much more than the bot that you're building inside of ManyChat. We've already talked about ManyChat. There's the octopus. He's a cute little guy. He's wearing a Messenger hat. I didn't know that until 2 months ago. It's supposed to look like a little chat bubble. I thought it was a party hat. Hey. Oh, that's supposed to look like the chat thing. I know, it looks like a hat. So a few quick things to understand. Like we said, you're building a channel. like you build your email list, like you build your YouTube subscribers. But this channel really has two parts, which this is where it is very similar to email, and we can draw some correlations. It's really important to understand these two parts or you're gonna get confused. So the first part of your bot campaign is really what I call them, because this is not, where we are with this right now, you're not necessarily building one bot that anyone that comes and messages your page interacts with, right? You can do that, but you're creating a bunch of different campaigns that, depending on the goal of that bot campaign, where they're coming from, it's gonna show them particular messages, right? So think about it as like different funnels in your business. Cool. When someone opts in for this lead magnet about XYZ topic, they're gonna get these emails, right? Same thing inside of Messenger. Does that make sense to you guys? This isn't like one standalone thing. You're building multiple campaigns with a bot to help you achieve your marketing goals. So the first part of this, if you look at a bot campaign, and this will make a lot more sense when I go through a bunch of them, like you'll be able to conceptualize it. But these campaigns, the first part is how are you driving traffic into Messenger, right? That's a huge differentiation between these campaigns. You can drive traffic into Messenger from any place you want, online or offline, and we're gonna talk about the different ways to do that. But the first part of this is, first part of your campaign is how are we actually getting people into Messenger, right? Because we're not talking about them stumbling across your page and messaging you. That's great, and if someone messages your page, what you do inside of ManyChat, you just set up a welcome message that's really general that will show to anyone that's come from a source that they don't know, right? So if they just organically come and message your page, you just set up a really general welcome message that helps direct them to customer support or your blog or whatever you're trying to do with that. Does that make sense to you guys? But I'm not talking about that here. I'm talking about actual marketing campaigns that we're gonna build. So those are built of this first step, driving traffic into Messenger, and those inside of ManyChat are called growth tools, right? So every bot campaign is gonna use a growth tool, and we're gonna go through those. And the growth tools are different tools that you can use to get people into Messenger depending on where they're coming from, right? And that'll make more sense once we go through those. Then the second part of this is your follow-up, right? So, following up with someone who has become a Messenger subscriber, whether that's through manual broadcasts, like I showed you guys, which we'll talk about strategies for that, or whether you're building follow-up sequences really similar to, an email sequence that's trickled out over 5 days, that's sent every other day. You guys are catching what I'm saying, right? That's the second part of this. So we're building these campaigns where we're figuring out where we're getting the traffic into Messenger, where is that coming from, which growth tools should we use? Okay, once they're in Messenger, how are we gonna follow up with them, right? What are we gonna say? So really think, like this is like two hands. This is one of the, for some reason, this is a confusing part of this, and it confused me too. So if you guys have questions, just let me know. But really always think of these as like these two parts. How are we driving the traffic? What are we saying to them after they engage with us on Messenger? I mean, this was my first need for a bot, was because you could run a Messenger ad that clicks and opens in Messenger, and you can do some very general automation inside of Facebook, but it's like, cool, they're in Messenger. I want to automate this response. I'm not gonna sit here and just answer all of these people, right? Or engage with these people. So that's really where your follow-up comes into play. So let's talk about driving traffic into Messenger, then we'll talk about the follow-up part. So here are some places that you can drive traffic from into Messenger, and most people think about Messenger, they think that you can only drive traffic into Messenger from a Facebook ad. And that's totally not true, right? So this is just a few examples, but you can pretty much drive Messenger conversations really anywhere that you want, from anywhere that you want, whether it's online or offline, and I'm gonna show you the tools to use that. So obviously you can drive traffic from Facebook Messenger ads. So the click to Messenger ads are the ones that show up in the news feed, like I showed you from HubSpot. You'll see more examples where they click in the news feed. It looks like a normal ad, but it opens in Messenger. Quick tip, anytime you're using one of those, so for example, let me back up a little bit. I have a client who runs traffic to a web page to generate leads, right? An opt-in page for a lead magnet. Great. So what we did is we took that same ad that was already working, like the promise of whatever the lead magnet was, that we knew they wanted it, we knew the market wanted it. We just slightly changed the copy to say, click below and download this in Facebook Messenger, right? It's really important to add that bit of copy to any of your ads that are opening in Messenger because consumers don't expect this, right? Like this is still a new thing for a lot of them to experience. So just keep that in mind. A lot of people think it's like a bug. Like they're clicking and they're like, why is this opening in Messenger? We're trained to go off to a website. So just a quick little tip, and back to the story with the client. So we were running traffic to an opt-in page asking for first name, last name, email address. And the cost per lead, it was a website conversion campaign on Facebook. The cost per lead was about $5 to $6. We were generating that email address. That's what we wanted. So we just took that ad, we changed the copy to say, click below to get this in Messenger. Well, the ads were a lot cheaper. Not only were they cheaper, but people were clicking, they were opening in Messenger. I'll show you the language we used to ask for the email address. So we were still getting the email address, and we were delivering the lead magnet right there in Messenger, which for the end user, they love it because they don't have to go to a web page, they don't have to fill out the form field, they don't have to go to a thank you page that might tell them that the lead magnet's in their email inbox that they can't find, right? Like that's a really shitty experience, guy. Like that sucks. And their lead cost went down to $1.75 and at scale, and it's still working. And the reason is simply because it was a lead magnet that we knew the market wanted it. We just changed the delivery mechanism to make it easier for the end user. So the clicks were cheaper. They were more likely to give us their email address. Think about when you click over to a landing page, at best, you're losing 50% of people that don't give you their email. The conversion rate is much higher. You usually see about 80 to 90% of people, if you ask for the email address in the right way, they'll give it to you, right? So just keep that in mind with these click to Messenger ads. The other type of ad is the sponsored message, like we talked about. You can also drive traffic into Messenger from organic posts on Facebook. If you're doing social media stuff, your website, right? We'll talk about a lot about this. How can you bounce people from your website into Messenger, right? People that are already a bit familiar with your brand. Email, we've talked about this. This is really powerful to have aggregate your email list and get them over into Messenger. It's obviously permission-based. You're not exporting your email list and uploading it to Messenger. Like that's not possible, but I'll show you different strategies that you can use that if they're interested, you can get your email subscribers over into Messenger. Now you have them in two places. Other social platforms, YouTube, Twitter, like anywhere online, I'm gonna show you ways to drive traffic into Messenger, but also in person. So there are a lot of people using in-person strategies for Messenger that are really cool. If you're at live events or you're a local business, or even I've seen, I'll show you guys it in a minute, but I've seen flyers hanging around some bigger cities now where you can scan to buy tickets to a concert. Right? So anytime they're physically in person with you, you can also turn them into a Messenger subscriber and much more. We'll talk more about that. So the tools that we use to do this, to drive from these different channels, are called these growth tools inside of ManyChat. And I'm gonna go through them all, but I just wanna show you. They live here under growth tools. You see here that this will make more sense once we explain them, but you do have some pretty good metrics in here. So you can see how many people opted in from that growth tool and became a subscriber, how many people opened the first message you sent them. So you're getting a little bit of data in here, but when you click new growth tool, we're gonna change the way this is laid out so it's a bit more intuitive. here are your different options. So I'm going to go through these, tell you which ones to use, which ones not to use, but mostly just tell you when do you use which growth tool, because it's a pretty strategic decision to make. Is that cool with you guys? Yeah. Any questions? We all awake? Yeah. And start to think about, this is where the workshop. I'm from Kentucky. My grandma still says "wash." I gotta go wash the clothes. I'm like, start to think about which of these growth tools, like knowing your business. Think about the assets in your business right now. What is your strongest asset, right? Is it your Facebook page? Is it your email list? Do you have a ton of website visitors? Do you have nothing at all? That's totally fine. Really start to think about that, and that will really help you decide which of these growth tools will be best for the 2 bots that you want to build, because I think that's the second or third step on these worksheets, right? So there's nothing to fill out now, but really start like putting yourself in these shoes now and thinking, okay, which of these is best for my business based off of the assets I have and really what I want to do with Messenger. Sound good? I'm going to show you 8 of them because they're all important, but really these first 4 are going to be the ones that you're going to use mostly unless you're a local business, and you'll see why here in a second, but really pay attention to these first 4. So the first growth tool is called JSON Growth Tool, and really what this does is this allows Facebook ad JSON enable you to start Messenger conversations with users who click on a Facebook ad. So we've been talking about this. HubSpot shows an ad, they click on it. Well, inside of ManyChat, if you set up a JSON growth tool, JSON is short for JavaScript object notation, and basically what it means is that we're going to tell ManyChat when someone clicks on this particular ad, right? We want to show them these messages in Facebook or in Messenger. So ManyChat says, okay, they spit out just a little snippet of code, and then you go put that code inside of Ads Manager when you're setting up the ads. Again, in the free ManyChat course, we show you how to do this. It's really, really easy. But basically what that allows you to do is automate this follow-up, right? It's allowing ManyChat and Facebook to speak to each other. Does that make sense? Because if you didn't set that up, they would just click on the ad and either nothing would happen in Messenger, or you could set up like a really basic little bot inside Facebook Ads Manager, but nothing like you would be able to with ManyChat. So if you're wanting to run the click to Messenger ads in the news feed, this is for acquisition or monetization, right? Whether you're going out to cold traffic, wanting to acquire new people into your business, or whether you're retargeting custom audiences or buyers. This works because it's just simply a Facebook ad in their newsfeed that opens in Messenger. So for example, the client I was telling you guys about with the lead magnet that we were delivering inside of Facebook Messenger, we used the JSON growth tool, and you guys will see examples of that. Does that make sense to you guys? You don't have to understand how to do it now, just know what its purpose is. This is the most popular one used for sure because it's the most common thing that people are doing with Messenger. So again, HubSpot, they have this ad. They're promising this 4 days of Facebook, reserve your spot today. You'll notice they put register on Messenger here. I would have put that up here, like reserve your spot today in Facebook Messenger, just a nuance, but again, setting that expectation. And you see that Facebook's also always going to give you a little, most people don't notice that, but they're trying to make it evident that it's a Messenger ad without making them look too different, right? So we really want to set that expectation. So you click on the ad, and the JSON growth tool tells ManyChat what to populate when they click. So for example, this is the experience I had. It says, let's get you registered so you get the most out of 4 days of Facebook. You'll hear from speakers like blah, 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 blah. Register now. So this is what I was talking about, guys. Whenever you build buttons inside of Messenger, when they click register now, it types that for them. So I didn't type register now, I just clicked that button. But that's powerful because when you click a button, now I've messaged the page and the 24-hour window is reset. So just a little nuance to understand there. This was smart. This was a learn more button. That just went over to a landing page with the same thing. It's just for people that want to go opt in on a web page, right? I'll show you the rest of this sequence later, but I thought this was brilliant. And then they said, great, you're registered. It will take less than a minute. First, what's your email address? You'll get recaps, updates, and helpful news through there. Do you guys see how much better that is than what's your email address? Like, there's value now. I know why they want my email address, right? I'm gonna get this extra stuff. It's not just what's your email address. So just use that if you want. You'll see me using different variations of this in all of these examples, but just please set that expectation. So this is an example of a JSON ad. There's much more that happened after this that I'll show you guys later that HubSpot did really well, but really simple, click, opens, and now we've been able to automate what we want to happen after they engage. So that is JSON. So if you run a lot of Facebook ads, you're interested in running Facebook ads, you're needing to acquire new leads, this is a really good growth tool to use, right? So the second one is the comment to message growth tool. You guys are probably familiar with this. This one got a lot of attention when it was released because it's pretty cool. So this growth tool allows you to auto-respond to post comments inside of Facebook Messenger. So what this means, if you have a post on your Facebook page, whether it's organic or whether it's a paid ad, if you set this growth tool up, which it will be specific for that one post, all of these growth tools are specific to one thing, right? Like, you're not gonna set up a growth tool and then every post you've ever had on your page is now auto-commenting. That's not gonna happen, right? It's just very specific to one post. So anytime someone comments on that post, you can set it up so that it's anytime someone comments or if they comment a certain word, that's gonna open a conversation in Messenger. Really, really cool. This is another great one to use for acquisition or monetization. This one just needs to be used in the right way. So what I mean by that is that when this first came out, I think I was one of the first people to use it, and what I did was I took a lead magnet that was already working, because that's how I test any new thing. Like, take something that's already working if you're testing a new channel or strategy, because if you test a new marketing asset or message and a new channel and it doesn't work, you don't know if it was the channel or if it was the asset, right? Keep that in mind. So I took a lead magnet that I knew the market already wanted, and I just said comment yes below on this post to get this lead magnet. Well, that Facebook ad is optimized for engagement because all you're wanting is comments. So this is a really cheap way to drive people into Messenger. And it's generating all of these comments, right? And the more comments you get, the higher your relevance score on Facebook. It's telling Facebook, hey, people really like this, right? Your relevance score goes up, it's shown to more people, the price is a lot cheaper. But that comment yes below to get this is not the way Facebook wants us to use this particular growth tool. They want, because then you just have a post with a bunch of yeses. Like, there's no value for anyone. Why didn't you just use the JSON growth tool, right? And let's face it, Facebook wants more information about us. That's their business model. So what they want you to do, you have to be creative with this and ask a question or pose a question or pose a conversation that's going to be really interesting to your audience so that they want to comment. But you're not telling them to comment with one word, right? You're asking for their opinion on something would be a good example for this. And let me show you. So this is a nutrition company. I'll show you what they're doing, but not the brand. And this one worked really well. You'll see 5,000 likes, 10,000 comments, 1,000 shares, 1 million views on this video, and it sold a lot of product for them. And the reason is because it was simple. I went to them, I said, what is something your market argues about, right? Well, this is health and nutrition. What should you eat before bed? It was actually an email, one of their highest performing emails. Again, took the topic, didn't take the email, just took the topic, right? What is something that people feel passionate about in this market? And I said, which is the best food to eat before bed? And by the way, this video is just him reiterating this. I don't know if the video helped or if an image would have been better, but at least we can retarget people that watch the video. So anyways, it's not gonna play, he's just reiterating the copy. But which is the best food to eat before bed? Try tonight. In today's video, I'm asking for your opinion on which food is best to eat before bed and why. A banana, yogurt, bacon, or a protein shake. Comment below and I'll respond in Messenger with the food I ate before bed. You'll be surprised, right? So this is totally compliant. People want to answer. Over 10,000 people have answered. You should see the comments, they're hilarious. It's everything from people just typing the word to like life stories about how I've eaten cottage cheese before bed every day my whole life and I'm healthy. And it's like people are really engaging with this and that's what Facebook wants, right? So they comment, and then it opens in Messenger. I'll show you some more of this later, but it opens. Thanks for your response, Molly. Welcome to the family. Coach Tim here with the video I promised. Which food will I pick, right? And so he reveals the winner, and the winner is protein. There's even a typo. I have 1, 2, 3, and 3 there. Banana, yogurt, bacon, protein. What he picks before bed is the protein. He explains why. He explains why he didn't pick the other ones. And then they just happen to have a free plus shipping offer for protein because that's what they sell, right? So not only was it really engaging to the market, but it also made sense for the end goal of my bot campaign, right? And this has a follow-up sequence on it that I'll show you here in a second. We follow up a few times over 6 days, but that's the bot campaign. That's the acquisition campaign, right? That's it. We're generating Messenger subscribers. We're generating new customers. Later down the road, we're generating email addresses. Like, it's doing everything we needed, and it was that simple, right? So comment to message is really powerful. You just have to get really creative and ask a question that people want to answer. Does that make sense to you guys? I'm sure there are other applications too, other than asking a question. I just haven't thought of those yet. So if you think of something, let me know. Another example is like copywriters, right? I was thinking about, like when I was at DM, how do we sell the copywriting certification? It's like, well, what's something that copywriters argue about? The Oxford comma, right? That's not something I argue about, but I've heard the content team here argue about that for years. It's like a joke. So this hasn't been put into practicality, but this is just another example, right? Copywriters, this is an age-old debate. Which side are you on? Oxford comma or not Oxford comma? They comment, you entertain them a bit, and then you try to transition the conversation to wherever you want it to go. So it just takes a little bit of creativity there. A good way to come up with ideas for this is like read forums in your market or like Reddit to see what people are, like what are they arguing about, right? Read Facebook comments on posts in your market. People like to argue. I think that's pretty obvious at this day and age. So what are they arguing about? And not that you have to create fear or not that you're wanting to create an argument. I think argue isn't even the right word. What are they debating about? What are they passionate about, right? Yeah, of course.
I've been playing a lot around with this myself. And another cool thing to do is ask them a question about themselves that they want to self-identify with. So like I'm working with like a pregnant women's coach, and she has like a free live training, and to get them in, it's just like, oh, comment below your due date and whether you're having a boy or a girl, and people start having conversations as they comment on the due date, like, oh, me too, and that's my husband's birthday, and like they start interacting with each other. Yeah,
what's something they want to share,
Right.
Like I love that. Something else, this can be used for monetization too. Like I've used this a lot to retarget people who have bought products and ask them what they thought about it. You get a ton of testimonials on the post. And then especially if you have another product to sell, or if it's a product you can sell multiple times, then you can transition that into thanks for your feedback. Like it's really valuable, and here's a 20% off coupon to, for your next order, right? So this can be used for people that are also familiar with your brand. Does that make sense to you guys? Awesome. Okay, so this is one of my favorites. This is the Messenger Ref URL growth tool. And this allows you to create a unique link that ManyChat creates this link for you. that when someone clicks, no matter where they are on the web, they don't have to be on Facebook. You actually can't even really use these URLs on Facebook because they want you to use the JSON growth tool, right? When you're off of Facebook, they click on the link, it opens right there in Messenger if they're signed into Facebook. If not, it's gonna ask them to sign into Facebook. It opens in Messenger and it produces whatever sequence you've attached to that, right? So I mean, we could have had, we could have sent this as an email, right? And said, click here to find out, right? Find out the answer. And we could have populated something that's like, thanks for your interest. You know, Molly, it's Coach Tim here with the video I promised. Which food will I pick? It's just a different entry point into the same thing. It's just for people that are off of Facebook. Does that make sense to you guys? This one's really powerful. So here are a ton of ideas for you guys. Obviously, email, I'll show you some examples of that. Webinar or a Facebook Live, this is a good use if you need to give a verbal call to action to a link. ManyChat's gonna give you a link that's not very pretty. It's like a bunch of jumbled numbers and things. But what's a smart move is you could simply set up a redirect from your site to that link, right? So if you wanted to say digitalmarketer.com/contest, you can give that link, just make sure you've redirected to that URL that ManyChat gives you, right? So you can clean up the link. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Website, so like say you're in a blog post and you're making a call to action, you know, you could link over to Facebook Messenger. Business cards, again, back if you make the URL pretty, I'm seeing people put links, URLs, it's like contact me here, and you put the URL in and it opens in Messenger. Speaking on stage, people are starting to use this same thing, calls to actions on stage, other traffic platforms, right, wherever your people are hanging out. And much, much more. Such a marketer sometimes. Here's an example. This is the first time that I used this. And this was here. We sent an email to, and this could be a monetization bot for you guys. So I'm just trying to give you a ton of ideas. Like bots are so new. Most people haven't seen them in action. So I'm just trying to give you a ton of ideas and hopefully something syncs with you. But we sent this email to people who had already purchased TNC tickets to try to see if they wanted to purchase multiple tickets. So it's, you know, you're not coming to TNC alone, are you? You know, blah, 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 blah. How many team members do you want to bring with you to TNC this year? You've got 3 ways to answer. Reply to this email, call us, or my personal favorite and fastest way to hear your discount, here's a link. This was before you could even do it in ManyChat. So this is a really general link any of you guys could use. This is a Facebook thing, m.me/whatever your Facebook page name is. You can go do that right now. And if you click, it will open in your Facebook page, it will open a message with your Facebook page, but it will be very general, right? Like it's gonna be the welcome message. There's no automation. So what ManyChat's gonna do is just give you m.me/unique link that's going to create an experience. But this worked really, really well. I think more than half of people who engaged with one of the 3 clicked on Messenger because, again, it's much easier. You can be doing something and chatting on Messenger. Yeah, I want to buy another ticket. Here's my name. You've got my credit card on file. You know, go ahead, right? It's just so easy. So this was a way we used Messenger to further monetize. Everyone cool with the link? I'll talk more about these in action. I just want you to understand what they are. Cool. The next one is the Messenger Code Growth Tool. So this is very similar to a QR code, but people are actually starting to use it because they have Messenger on their phone. So this is a code that ManyChat will produce for you that a consumer can open their Facebook Messenger. You click your photo, I think it's in the top left or the top right-hand corner, I can't remember, but if you wanted to scan a code, you would open your, yeah, he's got them on his business cards, that's awesome. You open Messenger, click your profile, click your little code, and then it will allow you to scan someone else's code, which is really cool. So again, this could be acquisition or monetization. Most of this would be offline. I don't really know why you would put one of these codes on your site and have someone scan it. But you know what's crazy? I saw one of these at the movie theater during a preview, and you could scan it. Like at that distance, it could still read the code. Isn't that cool? So here's an example. Tier 11's a Facebook ads agency that my friend Ralph, that I do a podcast with, owns. And I'll show you, we've used this code in many ways to generate high ticket leads for his agency. And it's working so much better than sending people to a contact us form, right? Yes. Where's the box? Oh, Melina's got it. Oh, the speaker. Sorry.
Okay.
Good looking out, Jenna. So quick question. What's on the screen right now, is the code the circle around it and then you can put the logo in the middle?
It is, and they're all, like you don't just have one code for your business, right? Like you could create 10 of these.
Ooh, that's
and they
hot.
all create
somewhere.
different experiences, right?
That's hot.
But the only thing is I've seen people print these and then go back and change it and then the code changes. So make sure if you're gonna print it on something, make sure you don't wanna go back and change what you're doing. That's the only nuance, and we've realized that's a problem and kind of figuring out how to fix it, but right now there's not a great way to do so, but just remember that. But yeah, these codes, so you scan this, hey Molly, and there's context here as I'll show you guys, right? So for example, they had a booth at TNC. Instead of like taking people's information down on a piece of paper, trying to get them to apply online to see if they could work together, there's like scan the code, right? And the person can walk away and do it later, or whatever they want to do, but it's so much easier. And it's not just easier, it's also that as soon as they scan this and start this conversation, even if they don't answer all the questions, we have the ability to follow up. So Adam, their the VP of Biz Dev something or another that follows up with these people, he loves this because think about it. On a normal type form, if you're answering questions, well, if you don't finish it, I don't really know what happens, but the ability to follow up if they didn't give you a phone number or email is hard, right? But they're also on this web page, so I don't know. You don't know, are they an email user? Are they a phone user? Think about it this way. It's much easier to fill out this information as a consumer. You can follow up with them at any time, but you're following up in a medium that they actually use because they scan the code. Does that make sense to you guys? Mm-hmm. So just keep that in your mind, but they added some great personality here. Hey, hi Molly, it's Tier here. I'm Tier 11's chatbot. First things first, are you here because you want to hire us to run your Facebook ads, or are you interested in joining our team? So they actually use this for two purposes. So depending on which button you would click, it obviously asks you different questions. And we'll talk more about this, but they ask what type of business you are, what your revenue is, and these are all the questions that they would ask on a work with us form. They're just in Messenger and there are buttons, and it's so much easier for the consumer. Does this make sense to you guys? Okay, cool. So that is the Messenger code. So these last few are cool, but they're not as important, and I don't really recommend you guys selecting these for the bots that you're actually gonna build. These are more passive ways to get subscribers, if that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't rely on these growth tools to like build your Messenger subscriber list or do anything necessarily crazy for your business. I'm underestimating them kind of, but these are passive ways to get subscribers. Does that make sense to you guys? Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's more just for customer service. That's like closing deals. That's if you try to use some of the other ones, if you don't have like somebody actively managing your customer support, those are good.
Yeah, well, and this one's even different. So these are widgets that are on your site. So the customer chat, we'll talk about that one for sure. But these are overlay and embeddable widgets. These names are pretty funny. We need to work on these. So these are the ones you see in here. So you see overlay and you see embeddable. So this is all about your site. So if you want someone, like if someone's crawling through your site or they're on your blog, you can use these widgets to get them over into Messenger, right? So for example, these overlays, they'll overlay on your whole site, on one site, they'll trigger after a certain amount of seconds. There's lots of opportunities here. But ways I've seen people use this, like there's an e-com site that's like, get 20% off your first order, click here to get your coupon code, right? Really passive, but they're generating Messenger subscribers because they're offering that coupon code. And then it's like, great, here's your coupon code, click here to start shopping, right? Really simple. I've seen people offer lead magnets up here, whatever makes sense. These are just things that you can overlay on your website. And there's a lot of customization that you can do with these, which is pretty cool. So we've got the bar at the top. This is a slide in that will slide in here on the side. We've got this one that's going to kind of just pop up in the middle there. And we've got a complete page takeover, which I would use that sparingly. And then these budgets, I can't talk today, guys. These widgets, these embeddable widgets, so these are more things that you would embed like on your blog or like somewhere on your website. Let me show you a good example of this if my internet is pretty slow. We'll let that load. Oh, it wasn't that slow. So if you scroll down on ManyChat's site, we used this. It's not showing on this variation. I've got a screenshot I'll show you guys. But these buttons are pretty cool. Like say you have a blog post, you want to make a call to action. Your blog post is about yoga and you have a free 7-day yoga challenge that you're using as your lead magnet. Well, you could easily add some text above this. It's like sign up for our free 7-day yoga challenge in Messenger, right? And they can just click there. So that'll allow you to put the buttons wherever you want. And if they're logged into Facebook in that browser, it will already populate their photo and their name, which really helps, with familiarity. And then there's a box that you can embed on somewhere on your site if you want. So I just want you guys to know that those are there. They're cool, but they're not. I don't want you to use those for this because I think there's so much more you can do. But these are just passive ways to generate Messenger subscribers from your website. And then the next one, so this is what you were talking about. Yes, sir?
Oh, actually, let's go through this.
Okay, cool. So the next one is the customer chat growth tool. And this goes along with the live chat area that I showed you guys earlier. When Renee, you were asking about live chat, I showed you the area that would exist. ManyChat doesn't have it turned on, but these two really work together. So this is if you want to facilitate live conversations through Facebook Messenger. And you can set it up so that if someone comes into live chat, you can check that you want to disable any bot messages. Because say someone's in a follow-up sequence and they're trying to get a customer service question answered and your bot's like, go do this, it can aggravate people. So that's a question I get a lot. I just wanted you guys to know that's there. But you guys should check out this brand. They do a good job of a lot of things, but it's a fitness brand, and they're using this simple customer chat plugin. So it just shows up at bottom right-hand corner of your site. You can either have it so that it immediately shows up like this, like open, right? You can customize this text here. Someone can start chatting, or you can make it so it's just that bubble down at the bottom so it's not as distracting. I don't have any data on what's best or anything, but I just wanted you guys to know this is there in case for some reason you need that extra touch point, right? I have seen these work really well on like product pages when someone's having to make a decision between like 4 different levels of a product, right? It provides that, they can actually ask a question is what I'm saying. And the beautiful part of this is there's a lot of live chat out there. Like we're used to doing this, but think about it. When you usually live chat, like if you live chat with AT&T and you're chatting and then somehow you've X'd out of the little box window that popped up, they're gone. Like you're done, you're restarting, you're getting back in the queue. This is different because it's all linked through Facebook Messenger. So if they start a conversation and they leave your site, that conversation's still going. It's in Facebook Messenger. It doesn't just live in that window, right? So just an option for you guys here. And this will open in the live chat area of Messenger. And you can set different settings of when someone clicks here, I want to notify these admins, right? So for example, maybe you have some customer service people on your team or salespeople, and for example, when we did that TNC ticket thing, you better believe I was notifying, the sales team when someone wanted to chat about a ticket. So there are settings in here where you can select which admins of the page you want to notify, if you want to notify them with a Facebook notification and their personal Facebook or an email or both. Any questions about that? Yes.
So on my website, I have something similar to that in terms of the question.
Oh, sorry, can we throw the box back there?
You're probably better for than I am.
So on my website, I have something very similar to what we're seeing on the screen right there in terms of the question, how can we help you? And then I have buttons for people to choose from. But when somebody clicks a button, they are brought into a welcome message. Is that expected behavior, or is it not set up properly?
Let me look at it when we take a break or something, and I'll tell you if it's supposed to be working that way.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's a way to disable that.
Okay, cool.
And something else cool that I've seen with this brand, they've done not, hi, how can I help you? I think it said, how can we help you? But it also said, like, chat below to get a 10% off discount. So they're using the customer plugin to give someone a discount to their site, or to their products, which I thought was pretty interesting. But yeah, I'll look at that for you.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Any questions? Any other questions? Greg.
And this may not be the place to have it. Feel free to hit it later, but it just jumped in my head. What are they doing for GDPR compliance?
So if you go to blog.minichat.com, about 4 or 5 posts ago, there's a huge thing about GDPR, explains how we changed the functionality to be compliant. It's got your DPA contract in there. So I'm not the expert on that, but luckily we do have people that are. So if you just read that, it will explain like what we've done in terms of the GDPR stuff. Cool.
I actually have a few from the audience.
All right.
Okay, so the first one is from Renee, and she says, for the messenger button available right under the cover photo of a business page, do you recommend using the general welcome message?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Question number 2. It's like rapid fire.
Let's do it.
Coke or Pepsi? So Michelle.
Definitely Coke.
Michelle asks, so when you ask for the email, are people just manually adding that to their CRM?
No, so there's,
Integrating?
yeah, so for example, if you asked for an email address in MiniChat, there's no way to like export those manually. That would be a privacy nightmare for Facebook, especially after the past few months. And so that's a really good question. So what you would need to do is there are really 2 options. So MiniChat integrates with Zapier, which most of you guys probably know what that is. It allows you to connect different tools to different tools. I think I explained that pretty well. So if your email service provider, your CRM, whatever you're using to house those emails, if they also integrate with Zapier, you can just set up a little connection to where when someone gives their email address, that creates a custom field, is what it's called in MiniChat. And MiniChat knows to then push that email address and the first name, last name, whatever you want to push over to your CRM, right? And that could start to trigger emails or whatever you want to do over there. If it doesn't, like there are a lot of companies that have built their own CRMs and things like that. So they just released dev tools. So if you do have a developer, you want to hire someone, you can build a custom integration too.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
Cool.
And then my last question is from Rich, and he just had like a spark of inspiration and wants to check, can you trigger messages like location-wise with like geolocation tagging?
So you can, I'll show you guys really quick. So when we were on the broadcast tab, my internet's not loving me right now. So when we were on the broadcast tab, remember when we this condition here. So you can do condition, and you can send messages based off of tag, how they opted in, and then you see location right here. So because that is something that Facebook has on most people. So there are too many locations here for it. It would take a minute to pull that, but that's how you would do that, Jenna.
Cool, thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So the last one, this one's pretty new, but it's cool. This is called the Checkbox Growth Tool. And this allows you to use custom events on your site to subscribe visitors to your bot. So what that means is, so you guys saw the button one, right? When you click the button, it opens in Messenger. This is similar but different. So imagine you have a button like this one on ManyChat's site. When you click Start Conversation, it goes over to the sales page to buy the tool, right? But this is the checkbox plugin down here where they can check to have whatever they're asking for also sent to Messenger. So this is a great way to passively generate Messenger subscribers while you're doing other things on your site. It's also great, like imagine you're sending people over to a landing page to opt in for a lead magnet. So you're asking for first name, last name, email address. You can easily put send to Messenger below too. Now you've generated email, Messenger, all in one. They get an email delivering the lead magnet, and they get it in Messenger. You'll see a lot of people on Shopify using this too because they had this built in before we released it. But I've actually experienced it. It's pretty cool. You purchase, and it's like send shipping information or send. I don't think it even says. It says something send to Messenger. Yeah, something, I can't remember the language, but you're buying, so you're clicking to buy. Of course, they have your email and your other information, but then through Messenger, they're like, thanks for your purchase. Here's your tracking number, right? When it ships, it sends you a little map of where the product is. So this is just a really cool way to integrate Messenger into your other strategies that you're using that are on web pages. Does that make sense to you guys? What's up, Jen? All good?
Good, yeah.
Awesome. How much time do we have in this one?
We got about half an hour.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, and like I said, this one's new, so I'm sure we'll think of more creative ways to use it. But right now, I'm just thinking of where can we put this where we're already having people submit and click on buttons, It's pretty easy to do. And same thing here, if you're logged into Facebook, it's gonna go ahead and pre-populate your name, and that's my fake Facebook account that I use for things. No profile picture. Okay, so those are the different growth tools. Those are the different ways to really drive traffic into Messenger. And as you guys can see with the code, with the link, with the JSON growth tool, with the Facebook ads, with comment to message, and then all of the tools on your website, you could pretty much drive Messenger traffic from anywhere using those growth tools. And we will keep rolling out different growth tools if we think about them. So if you think of anything creative that it would be really awesome if I could do this, ManyChat's always happy to look at that and see if it's something that can be built. Because if you're thinking it, there are probably other people that would like it. Most of these ideas come from users, which is pretty cool. Do you guys feel clear on that? Like the growth tools? A good idea of how to use them, kind of? Half of you? Should we go back over anything? No? Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so what happens next? So we talked about the first part of building these bot campaigns, which was the growth tools, right? That's how we're going to drive traffic. Well, the other side of this is the automation, what happens after they click. So I want to very much explain this to you guys. Now keep in mind, you could build a sequence, an automation sequence like the nutrition company I showed you, and you could have 4 growth tools going to the same automation sequence, right? So these can pair together, it's mix and match. And if you build like the 7-day yoga challenge was something I actually saw in action. So a company had built out a yoga challenge where you get a new video every day, right? For 7 days, you learn a new pose. Well, the issues with those types of funnels now, or like a mini class funnel, is that with email marketing, people aren't getting the videos every day. So the consumption goes down and they don't buy whatever, or do whatever you're asking them to. So they built out, every day you get a new yoga pose in Messenger. Open rates are super high, consumption's super high. Throughout the days, they're like, if you want to buy the mat that's in this video, if they engaged, here it is, right? Or if you liked this free 7-day course, we sell info products, right? So it was a really smart, lead mat. It was a really smart funnel. Well, they built that, and now they've got a growth tool on their site. They're running JSON ads in there. They're using comment to message. They just have this one sequence that really works for them, and they're using all of these growth tools to drive traffic to the same place. So just to give you some context, but remember, these bot campaigns are really about the growth tools, and then the automation is the follow-up. What happens after they click? Now, this can be a tad bit confusing because there are a few types of these. So the first one is the opt-in message. And so an opt-in message is actually associated with, so when you're looking at something like ManyChat, there's an automation button, right? This is where you can set your welcome message. This is where you can build those sequences I was just talking about, right? So you click open a sequence. That's not a great example. So you click open a sequence here, and you can see this is very much like a CRM, right? Here are the different messages I want to send. Here's when I want to send them, right? 1 day later, whatever. You see how many were sent, clicked. You can open these messages and obviously see what they are, right? And you can go in and build out each message. But these are very similar to an email autoresponder, right? So all of that is done under sequences. But something that's a little nuanced is that with these growth tools, whenever you set up a growth tool, so say we're going to set up a Facebook comment to message, they're going to ask you, actually that's not a great idea. Let's say we're going to set up a JSON ad. Because ManyChat wants to make sure you immediately respond, there's something called an opt-in action or opt-in message, right? And what this is the first thing you're going to need to customize when you use one of these growth tools. This is the first thing that they're going to get once they take that action. So the opt-in message should deliver on whatever that thing is. But just remember, this is the first message, but that is set at the growth tool level, right, with your opt-in message. And some of them, which is really cool, and by the way, guys, here's the JSON code. So once if you went in here, you hit edit, and you edited and got this to a place you wanted, you just hit setup, and you copy the code, and this is the code you go put into Facebook, and Facebook has good instructions on that. But other things you can do, for example, with the ref URL. So we are editing this first opt-in message that they get, but we can also now add them to a sequence, right? So every sequence has a name. So say we had the 7-day yoga sequence, we would have a JSON ad that they click on. Its opt-in message is edited to say, thanks for showing interest in the ad. We'll start delivering the yoga challenge to you in 5 minutes or tomorrow or whatever you decide to do. And then as long as you select that sequence from this dropdown, it will automatically subscribe them to that sequence, right? So then everything after that point is happening here in this sequence area. So if you did want it to, show 5 minutes after they were tagged or 2 minutes, you can just go in and customize all of this, right? Minutes, immediately, minutes, hours, days. You can select, in their time zone, if you want to only send between a certain time period, because we need to be aware that a lot of people have sound on their phone, and like you can wake people up if they're in a different time zone. So it's good to use time zone filters if you want to do that. But anyways, you can customize when these are sent, and then you can just add these different messages that are gonna follow up with people, and you set, the timing of when that's gonna send. Yes?
When you set up that one, it have a feature that it says send a certain time. You could pick 8 to 9.
Right.
Between 8 to 9.
Right.
But if it's 24 hours after they engage the last time, right? So it don't send 8 to 9 the next one. It will send it 24 hours, right?
That's where you need to be a little bit, sorry about that. That's where you need to be a little bit careful about the time zones, because if you said you want it to deliver immediately, but you only want it to deliver between 8 and 9 a.m. their time, well, ManyChat's not gonna send that until 8 or 9 a.m. comes around their time, right? Like you're saying. So that's a great point. And usually on the first one, I don't set a time zone because I usually deliver them immediately. So if they just took the action, we're not waking them up or bothering them. They're right there on their phone anyways, right? And then the other ones, you can use the time zone to make sure that, you're not bothering them.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, because I did it, but then if I put another message and I put the other message at 3 p.m., even that I put send between 8 to 9, it will send it immediately because they engaged 24 hours before.
Right, yeah. It just depends on when they come into the bot, and then they're gonna try to look for the next time that it is that time zone for that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, guys. So I just wanted to quickly explain what the automation, there's really the opt-in message that you need to customize when someone takes an action on a growth tool. And then there are the sequences that you can build and tag in. And that's really how the automation is built here in ManyChat. There are some other things that you can do. For example, there are keywords. So think about this as maybe another entry point into a sequence, but you can set up different keywords. Like, if someone says hi, hey, or hello, we can make an action to send them a message, unsubscribe them. So this is about as close as we do have to AI right now for them to be able to respond. But this is where you go to set up, we have stop writing, do not contact me, I'm not interested. So this allows us to stay compliant. It's like, what are the different things people might be saying to want to unsubscribe? Because we're marketers, we know what unsubscribe means. Most people aren't typing unsubscribe, right? They're like, go away. And you can set up when that happens, we don't send a message, we just simply perform an action that unsubscribes them from the bot, right? So I've seen people do really creative things with this depending on their business and what people might be typing. If they type product names, I've seen people trigger like, ooh, it looks like you're trying to find more information about this golf club I sell, So these aren't totally necessary, other than it is necessary to have unsubscribe when they're trying to unsubscribe. But otherwise, these can be used for different reasons. I just want you to know that they're there. But we covered the growth tools. That's how you're driving the traffic in. The following up of these people, the automated follow-up to the people that engage with you, all of that happens just in the opt-in messages and the sequences. Does that make sense to you guys? So when we're thinking about these bot campaigns, that's what you're thinking about. What growth tool am I going to use? What am I going to say when they click or take that action? What's my opt-in message gonna be, right? And then what's my sequence? Am I gonna follow up? You don't even have to follow up. You don't have to use the sequences. You could send them just an opt-in message if you wanted to, but I think it's wise to follow up if you have more to say. Cool. Any questions about that, guys? Yeah.
So my question is, as far as process of building out the automation and the growth tools, would you build out the automation first and then attach the growth growth tool to it?
Yeah, I always build out the sequence first
Yeah.
that I want, and then I go set up the growth tool last. Like that's the last thing I usually do. It's a
Cool.
good question. And let me show you guys something. Any other questions? Any from the crowd? Doing good? I can show you guys a few more cool things here. So this is the flow builder that I was telling you about. So this is very similar to a CRM that lets you build, whatever you want visually. So for example, we could add buttons here, right? So say we say yes, we could then immediately send a message. We can open in a website. There's click to call now, call a number. If you use Stripe, you can actually process payments, and we'll roll out other payment processors. You can perform actions. So this is where the tagging comes into play. If you want to add a tag based off of what someone's done, you can just go here to add tag, remove tag, trigger zap. So this is, guys, what I was talking about with the custom fields. So say you were asking for someone's email address. When they respond, you would just perform an action that triggers a zap to send that over to the CRM, right? Really, really simple. You can subscribe them to a sequence if they click on a button, unsubscribe, mark conversation is open, notify admins. That's what I was telling you guys about, notifying admins. You can set different custom fields, subscribe to bot, unsubscribe to bot, external request. So these are the new dev tools I was telling you about. So if you had a developer and you wanted to set up something really fancy and very custom, you could just use that external request and it's going to send the data wherever you've built that integration, which is pretty cool. So those are actions. So for example, maybe I asked a question and I had yes or no, so I wanted to add a tag. I try to tag people based off of any action that they take because you never know when you're going to need that data. You don't have to go overboard, but I add tags on most buttons just so I have that information about them later. But let's say we're going to add this tag. They click yes. We want to add a tag, which the user doesn't experience anything. They don't know that. And then we can send another message, right? And then this, we can add up to 3 buttons. So say we have no, right? So then you just simply drag this. Super easy to use. You can add another tag that's your no tag. And this can go back to the same message if you want, or we could delete that and send a separate message here. So a lot of you guys know how to use this. I just want to show you. One other thing that's pretty new that's powerful is number one, A/B split. You can do A/B splits. So if you want to test 2 different messages, whether it's the copy or the buttons you're using, that's an option now. And you can also use this condition. So this is really powerful because this says only send a message if this or if that, right? So for example, ways that when I'm building out sequences, because when you're building up a follow-up sequence, say you're on day 4, well, what if you want it to be directly promotional, but this is an automated sequence? How do I make sure that the message is only sent to people within that 24-hour window? Because we're not in the broadcast section anymore, right? This is the sequence area. So this is all of your automated stuff. So you still have to be careful about terms here. So a really easy way to do that is just say, I only want to send this message under this condition. So the condition could be last interaction less than 1 day ago, right? Really, really simple. So this tells ManyChat, okay, all the people who have interacted with you in the last day, now let's send them this directly promotional message. Hope that didn't confuse you guys. I just have a lot of people ask me how to do that. So, and I mean, you can do conditions on everything: gender, location, time zone, name. There's all types of stuff that you can do with this to make it a really segmented experience depending on who that person is. Like I have a fitness company that uses the conditions for gender, right? Because they have men and women's clothing. So making sure that they're showing the right products, you know. That's just an easy little example there. But yeah, this is how Flow Builder works. Happy to take questions. I think we have like 20 minutes left on this one, Jenna. We were pretty fast. But I just wanted you guys to understand how these work. And then the next 2 sessions, we'll be putting these 2 things together, the growth tools and the automation and the sequences to build some cool bot campaigns.
Sounds good. So we're going to go to lunch a little bit early. We'll go to lunch at 12:10, and then we'll come back at 1:10 p.m.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.